Today we're going to talk about how you can use N8N to build a lead magnet for your business. Now, the type of lead magnet we're going to build is something where you capture a potential lead's details, so things like their website, their name, their business, their role, that sort of stuff. And then you pass it through some sort of process in order to generate an audit or a review or some sort of process that you then send to them that is relevant to the service that you're providing. So for what we're doing, we're going to do a landing page review. So most businesses will have some sort of landing page. Maybe you run a design agency or copywriting agency, and you can help them improve the copy on their landing page in order to boost conversion, right? So what we'll be doing is a landing page audit, but you can do something different to match it to what service you provide. Like it could be you do SEO, so maybe you want to do some sort of like internal linking audit or SEO page structure audit, whatever you want, right? Like you need to find something that is relevant to your business. High level approach will be similar, and we'll cover different ways of building this today. So for what we're building, which is the landing page audit, I'm going to show you two different architectures so you can pick the one that is most relevant to your business. And this is something that you can do to build something like a design agency as well, where you can sort of give very personalized advice at scale to sort of warm up these leads for conversion. So what I want to do here is actually delete, and we can start from scratch. So usually the first step in these types of workflows is some sort of form submission, right? For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to use the built-in N8N form, but you can use any other form that you want. So I know a lot of service businesses tend to like to use Typeform because there is perception that it's very slick and that sort of stuff. I personally like to use Tally sometimes, but you can use sort of any form software that you want as long as you can integrate it into N8N. You can pass your submissions into N8N. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use the built-in N8N forms just so that you know that you can do this without using too many tools. You can do this just with N8N as well. So for this, I'm just going to call it landing page audit, and I'm just going to say enter your details, and we will tell you how you can improve your landing page conversion rate, right? And here I'm just going to say, let's do something like we're just going to collect the lead details, right? So what is your name? And you might collect other things like email as well, right? But for the exam, let's collect the emails. What is your email? Let's change this to email. And then this one, say, what is your website, right? And I want to turn all of these to required fields. So I press execute. A form pops up. I don't actually know if you can see this in the recording, but the N8N form has popped up with those three questions. And if I just type in something like this, just filling out the form, and I press submit, it has come in, right? So we've got the inputs for the form, just what I need. Cool. So regardless of what form software you use, basically you need that form submission to come into N8N so you can then do things with that data. So if we're doing a landing page audit, there's a couple of ways we can do it, right? So I think a lot of YouTubers and creators will tell you just to put it all into an agent, right? Like that's sort of the architecture that works for most things. And you can do this. And depending on what you're doing and how much flexibility you want in your lead magnet, the AI agent might actually be the right approach. But there are a couple of downsides with this, right? So if you do the AI agent approach, it will likely be more expensive, it will be slower, and there is more variability in your outputs. So there is a chance that the output from the AI agent will not be exactly what you want, right? But I want to run through this really quickly just so you know what an AI agent approach might look like. So here you just choose your model. So I'm just going to choose T5 just because it's a good and reasonably priced model to use for most things these days. And use GPT-5. And then as a tool, all I need is a web scraping tool, right? And the web scraping tool I'm going to use is the Dumpling AI scraping tool. So if you don't have a Dumpling AI account, you will need to sign up to get a Dumpling AI API key. But once you've done that, just go to the docs. I'm going to use the web scraping endpoint here. So I'm going to copy the curl request here, and I'm going to use the import curl in N8N, and it's filled out everything. And I'm just going to change the description to Dumpling AI to scrape the provided URL, right? And then what I'm going to do is set up the authentication. So you will need to set up a bearer auth. I've already got it set up here, but if you don't, just create a new bearer auth, paste in the API key from Dumpling AI. So like I said, sign a Dumpling AI, get your API key, copy it over, and you only have to do that once because then it's saved into your N8N instance. Cool. So we come here, the URL is where we want to give the AI agent the ability to find that URL. For the other stuff, I'm just going to say, yes, we always want to format it. Don't really care about cleaning it. And yes, let's render JavaScript. Cool. So that is good. And then if you're doing the AI agent approach, you basically just need your prompt to explain to the AI agent what you're doing. So you might say, you are a landing page auditor. The user will provide you with the details of the website. You should scrape the website with the Dumpling AI scrape tool and then provide feedback on how to improve the conversion rate on that page, right? So that's sort of the AI agent approach. Like I said before, for this type of use case, I wouldn't use it just because you're adding a lot of complexity into your workflow for no real gain. But if you're doing something a bit more complex, so maybe you want to have a lot more research steps. So like, let's say, instead of just doing the landing page, you want to scrape multiple pages on the website, research the leads, LinkedIn, do lots of things, then maybe an agent would be better there. But for a lead magnet, I feel like agents tend to be overkill because like at the end of the day, these are just leads. They're not customers yet. So you don't want to over-engineer your lead magnet. Cool. So that's the AI agent approach. Let's delete all this. And I'm going to show you the approach that I actually recommend, right? I recommend keeping it as a deterministic, so step-by-step workflow where you actually control every single step. And the reason for this is it will be cheaper to run compared to an agent. You have more control over the steps, so it reduces the chances of bad output, and it's easy to edit in the long run, right? So same thing, right? We've got the form submission, we've got the data into N8N. For this, what we're going to do is same thing, right? We're going to scrape Dumpling AI. And we don't need the agent because we know after submission, the first step is always going to be scraping the website, right? Like it's not like sometimes we scrape the website, sometimes we don't, sometimes we do X, Y, Z, right? If we always know what we're going to do, a workflow tends to be the better approach. So same thing as before, you're going to need a Dumpling AI API key. I'm going to copy this curl request here, come over into N8N, press import curl, and then just import that here. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before. So select bearer auth. I've already got it set up. If you don't, you'll need to set it up once. I don't want to send headers. And here, instead of letting the AI agent define the URL, I'm just going to straight up put in the URL field, right? So here. And then again, I don't need to clean it, but I want to keep it in Markdown and I want it to render JavaScript. So if I execute this step, it should just scrape this website. So that should take a couple of seconds. And the difference between this and just using the HTTP request in N8N is if you're scraping at scale and you need reliability, you probably will need a third-party provider. And some sites only use JavaScript. So if you're just using HTTP directly, the page you scrape is going to be blank. So I'd recommend using a third-party scraper if you're actually building something for production, right? Something that customers or potential customers will see. So cool. So we got the page's content here. And the next step, pretty straightforward. We're just going to pass it into a large language model. So I'm going to just type in OpenAI and I'm going to say we're going to message a model, right? And we're going to choose again T5, just because again, good model for its price. And I'm just going to say, so this is where you actually want to spend a bit more time, right? So if you're a service provider, you probably have some sort of secret sauce or some sort of framework. This is where you want to put it in, right? So for example, if you have some sort of framework for optimizing landing pages, you want to get that into your prompt so that when your AI does the analysis or does the audit, it will apply that framework. So it's not just generic ChatGPT analysis. For this tutorial, I don't run a copywriting agency, so I don't have some special frameworks. I'm going to keep my prompt super simple, but this is where you actually want to put in your secret sauce or your unique value so that when people go through your lead magnet, they actually get something that is unique rather than something that they could just have gotten from ChatGPT. So I'll just say, I'm going to say analyze this copy and optimize it better conversion rate, right? So Super simple. Like definitely if you're doing this for real, for your customers, potential customers, spend a bit more time here. I'm just doing this because I'm just showing you the process for how to build it. If I was doing this for real, definitely would spend a lot more time to make sure the output is actually valuable, right? There's no point creating lead magnets where the output is kind of useless because then, yeah, you sort of killed all the trust, right? So I'm just going to run this and you can see it's going to output some feedback. Yeah. So it's going to take a couple of seconds to run. Cool. So it's finished running. You can see it's given very detailed feedback. So again, this is where you want to put in your framework so the feedback has a bit more structure and it's always the same. You could also have the output as JSON if you want like different sections that you insert into, let's say, a document or a PDF that you send to the lead. So that's sort of where you get into the world of like super hyper-personalized lead magnets, which is really, I think, where you want to be. In this case, because I don't have that, what I'd probably do is just have a email node right after where I then just email that feedback to the user with some appending, say like, oh, if you found this useful, book in a meeting with me, right? So really after this step, it's really depending on what you want to do with the lead magnet. If you did want to do what I said earlier around the PDF generation, something like that, you can either use a third-party service or you can use something like Google Docs. We'll support something like that as well. I do have videos on my channel if you want to see how to actually set up that Google Doc templating system, because it is a bit finicky, but I'm not going to cover it in this video because that in itself is quite a long tutorial. But once you've done it once, it should be fairly straightforward. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. That's 2 ways to set up a lead magnet. Again, this is just an example. If you're running some sort of copywriting agency, you want to make sure your lead magnet is unique to your business. And again, in that prompt, you want to sort of start putting in your unique approach so that when the user gets it, it's actually valuable. Anyways, let me know what you make with this in the comments below. Would love to see what you build. If you have any thoughts, questions, put them below and I'll try my best to get back to you.